Pokemon Challenges hosted a random battle tournament a while back that I was a part of and actually did pretty well in. Unfortunately, I never uploaded a video on the tournament, but thankfully my good buddy WolfeyVGC did just that. So today, I'm going to be reacting to his video, reminiscing on how that tournament went. If you haven't already seen his video, please go watch it, but let's just get into this.
Do you ever feel like Pokemon has become too easy?
Yes.
Like your brain has gotten too large? Your world champ difference too overwhelming?
Yes.
The games are no longer challenging for you? Well, boy, do I have the solution for you.
Okay, what is
it, buddy?
What if
you couldn't choose anything about your Pokemon?
What?
What if they were simply random and you had to work with them no matter their moves, items, or stats?
That'd be crazy.
With no control over anything about your Pokemon, maybe some of the challenge would return to our favorite monster catching game. Enter Pokemon Challenges, also known as Jan. Jan is a content creator hailed for his Nuzlocke abilities, but it turns out he's also rather interested in random battles. Jan decided to host a random battle tournament and invited content creators to battle it out for the prize of $5,000 to a charity of their choice.
What is this?
When he reached out to me, I knew it was exactly what I was looking for. Random battles are a game mode available on Pokemon Showdown in each of the 8 generations.
There are so many things to do on Showdown, it's overwhelming.
4 of their viable moves and 1 of their viable items. The game mode is designed in such a way that every Pokemon should be usable, though not every Pokemon will be good. To further balance out the differences in Pokemon, better Pokemon have lower levels and worse Pokemon higher.
This is a really great explanation of random battles.
The most popular on Pokemon Showdown.
It's really cool to watch this video because for me, I've been playing Pokemon Showdown and random battles since high school, I think. So obviously I don't need this. And I was in the tournament, so obviously I don't need it. But if you don't know what's going on, this is a really wonderful explanation that's not dragging on too long. But I don't know. They did a fantastic job just bringing it down.
I'm the kind of person who likes to either commit fully to things or not at all. For this, I decided I wanted to give it my best effort. So I played over 500 games of the different random battle formats.
And he was talking to me the entire time he was doing this.
Number 3 in Generation 6, and top 40 in Gen 7, 5, and 4. Here's my thoughts on the format after playing so much. The format absolutely has skill involved and isn't truly random.
We were both preparing for this together. I didn't realize while we were doing it, he was laddering up so high. I was just getting a few practice games in for fun to make sure I could, get rid of some of the rust I had as a competitive battler. This man was laddering to the top. It's the world champ difference is simply that. I'm a pretty good competitive battler. I know a lot of people watch my stuff don't know that, but there's a difference between anything I've ever done and Wolfey.
The primary skills are, in my opinion, information management, meaning how well you hide the crucial Pokemon on your team and how quickly you reveal your opponent's team, identifying the threats on your opponent's team, knowing which of your own Pokemon you can lose and which you need to save for later, and setting up to sweep your opponent. The last skill is, in my opinion, the most important. Because players don't choose which Pokemon they have on their team, it's pretty common that one or both players will have been given a Pokemon that can knock out all of their opponent's Pokemon under the right conditions. Being able to identify which Pokemon on your team can do this, and setting up the conditions to make it possible are, in my opinion, the single biggest skill in this game mode. The tournament was played using single battles as the base, which have a few issues. First, as we mentioned, many games are largely determined by who better positions their sweeper, which makes games a lot more volatile.
As crazy as it may seem, Wolfey did at one point consider me his single battle rival. That's what happens when you take a VGC world champion and put him into singles. Little old me could be maybe not as good as Wolfey, but like a small step below. But I've always loved singles. I've never gotten into VGC. Obviously, Wolfey's a little into VGC, but it's funny to hear him talk about the problem with singles. It's like, whoa, buddy, come on. It's so fun.
With strong Pokemon setting up and KOing your whole team. Second, single battles can be incredibly slow, grindy, and stally.
That's true.
This is especially true of the older generation, as it can sometimes be totally optimal to try and win a war of attrition, even though it makes for a bad spectator experience. In single battles, a game that lasts less than 40 turns would be considered fast, in contrast to a short VGC game taking under 7 turns. Thankfully, I had some countermeasures to make sure I didn't have to play super slow games. Jan chose an interesting format for the tournament. You could play random battles in any of the 8 generations, but each player was able to ban 2 of those generations at the beginning of the set that they wouldn't play. I always banned Gens 1 and 2 because I never played them, and they also just looked absolutely miserable. I had done the best on the ladder in Generations 8 and 6, but I personally considered 6 to be my strongest. Gens 5 and 7 felt very dependent on the team you were given, and Gen 8 has Dynamax and is the most different from the other gens in terms of how you need to play, so it can be a bit jarring to go back to after playing the other generations.
Yeah.
I had played only one game of Gen 3, and I didn't feel like I had a good enough handle on 4 to be super confident for the tournament.
That was my
At
bread
this point
and
in the
butter,
video,
4
you
and
should have a good
5.
grasp on both the tournament format and my strategy. That means the only thing we have left to cover before the games is arguably the most important part, the competition. Jan invited 16 creators with varying connections to Pokemon, from full-time Pokemon creators to variety streamers. While I think everyone in the tournament had a shot at winning, there were 2 people in particular I was worried about. First, Pokeaim, also known as Joey. Joey was the favorite going into the tournament.
Pretty good.
He's the premier YouTube channel when it comes to competitive single battle content.
He's pretty
and has
decent,
probably more
I guess.
experience playing random battles than the rest of the tournament combined. He's also been playing competitive singles for a very long time and plays more than any other creator I know on YouTube.
Yeah.
In both experience and skill, he was the #1 opponent to beat.
Pokeaim is not only one of the greatest single battlers ever, at least in my opinion, but he's so varied in his skill where like he has found success in every single format like known to singles, whether it's been something super popular or even something niche. It's really impressive, and Joey's just awesome. He's also just an awesome guy. I guess the favorite in the tournament, that's fair.
The other creator I was worried about was Pokemon7, also known as John.
In my old name!
Longtime viewers of my channel might remember that when I played in singles draft leagues, I considered John my rival. We've had several down-to-the-wire, back-and-forth sets.
Why is he showing a clip from when he 6-0'd me? This is a bad clip, Wolfey. It hurts my feelings. I don't want to talk about it. I could explain away this. It was bad. I don't like it. We're moving past it.
Always seem to end in nail-biters. He's an exceptionally talented battler with a wealth of competitive knowledge, and he also helped create the draft league format that was so popular.
Who edited this? They got it out for me.
Format that was so popular for a long time.
That's so funny.
John is also a good friend of mine. If the first time you watched one of my videos has been in the last 2 months, there's a good chance that the way you discovered my channel was because of John's help. So for both personal and professional reasons, the person I least wanted to play was John. Before we jump into the tournament, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. Currently, only about 7% of my viewers are subscribed.
If you like competitive content at all,
my goal
go
is to grow
subscribe
this
to
channel to 1 million
WolfeyVGC.
subscribers, and I think it might be doable with your support.
He's not there
If
yet.
you've already subscribed, I'd appreciate
you can help him get
the 2
there.
seconds it takes to double check. Anyway, the tournament. The
Pretty
bracket
good.
wasn't available until an hour before. You can imagine my dismay when I saw that my round 1 opponent was none other than John. The only good news in this dismal round 1 matchup was that Joey was on the opposite side of the bracket. Assuming we both won all our games, we wouldn't have to play each other until winners finals. John and I hopped in a call to talk about our upcoming match.
I was so hopeful that they wouldn't do this. Now, going into the tournament, everything he said was correct. Joey was the presumed favorite. He's the best singles player there. Wolfey was #2. While, maybe pound for pound, he's the best battler in the world. This is singles battling, right? He's a world champion for doubles. It would be unfair to how great Joey is to say Wolfey was the favorite when, that's Joey's home turf being singles. So it went Joey, Wolfey, and then it went little old me as the 3rd best battler in the tournament. Pretty undeniably. The thing is, I didn't get popular for my battling. The channel you're watching this video on used to be full of competitive battling, and it never really did well. As soon as I stopped making competitive content, things soared. So when I started this tournament, my entire chat was full of people saying, Small Ant's gonna destroy you, Point Crow's gonna destroy you, Purple Glyph's gonna destroy you, any of these other just giant creators are gonna destroy you. No one really knew how good I was at battling. Wolfey did, because I've played him in a championship setting in Draft League. Joey did, because I've played him in playoffs and in big battles, in tournaments and Draft League. And P-Chow found me out. I don't like it. I would have liked to get a cupcake round 1, but here we go. Oh no.
Oh no.
Wolfey.
It's so bad.
Wolfey, it's been so long since we've
been years.
We chatted for a bit, and then it was time to play. I banned Gens 1 and 2, while John banned Gens 7 and 8. Because I was worried about John, I decided to go with my strongest format and chose for us to play Game 1 in Gen 6. I loaded into the game and took a look at my team. Steelix, Spiritomb, Lugia, Huntail, Spinda, and Mega Metagross. In short,
I forgot this was the team he had.
Definitely not the worst team I could have gotten. The issue, though, was our lead matchup.
I had a defensive Steelix, whereas John had gotten what was almost certainly a Dragon Dance Zygarde. I really wanted to click Stealth Rock, but decided it was safer to go with Toxic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poison up miss. Nice, really good poison there. Really bad poison. Okay, that's fine. I did not think it was gonna have Lunberry though.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not great. There was nothing else to do but try again.
Yeah. Big damage.
I decided I needed to save my Steelix and switched into my Lugia, luckily avoiding an Earthquake. Because of the combination of Roost and Multiscale, John's Zygarde couldn't touch my Lugia, and I was able to end the encounter with full HP on my Lugia, with John losing his Zygarde. John sends out Miltank, but Miltank's Toxic fails to do anything as I switch into my Steelix.
This thing probably wants to go for Toxic. I'm gonna go into Steelix here. Yep, that gives me a little bit of healing.
I got my Stealth Rocks up and was feeling pretty good, until John revealed his third Pokemon, Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is one of the strongest Pokemon in random battles because of its amazing defensive typing, recovery, passive damage via its ability, great defensive stats, and entry hazard support. Of the 6 Pokemon on my team, the only one who had a super effective move against the Ferrothorn was Spinda, arguably the worst Pokemon I had. Left with no other option, I switched my Spinda in and skillfully dodged a Leech Seed. The superpower seemed obvious, but I felt I had no other choice. I had to hope John would let me get whatever damage I could onto his Ferrothorn.
Like, Spinda's not good here, and this Ferrothorn's an enormous issue for me. There's a ton of damage! Whoa, Spinda! Ah! Ah! Wait, that took so much damage!
Between Life Orb, Iron Barbs, Rocky Helmet, and Leech Seed, my Spinda had lost over half its health.
Battling Wolfey round 1 was really tough. I didn't really have my sea legs under me. I was really worried. I'd put a lot of pressure on myself coming into this tournament of like, okay, I'm the 3rd best battler here. Nobody really knows that, and I'm playing against the world champion, someone definitely better than me. Round 1. I don't love my chances, but if I lose to Wolfey, I am now 1 loss away from losing, and I won't be going against him or Pokeaim again. So if I lose to Wolfey, I would have to win out just to get into 3rd place, which is stressful. Watching this with hindsight, some big misplays.
I knew Spinda would be very unlikely to have a major impact on the game with only half its health left, so I stayed in and clicked Superpower once again.
We've each revealed 3 Mons. Spinda's gonna die. Oh, he lets me take it. Oh my god, okay, that's actually really nice.
I didn't notice, but my Spinda was actually level 100, which is why it was doing so much damage.
Yep.
I sacked my Spinda to John's Plusle and went back into my Steelix.
I don't think anything on my team could handle Spinda. Spinda level 100, contrary superpower? We have Miltank, Ferrothorn, and Plusle. At that point, I don't remember the last 2 Pokemon. I don't think any of them were really happy with Spinda.
John goes into his Miltank, and the battle goes into single battle mode for a while. Predicting my Toxic, John gets his Roserade in safely. John then predicts me again, hitting my incoming Lugia with a Sleep Powder and clawing back some momentum. He gets a layer of Toxic Spikes up, but only 2 of my Pokemon are affected by them, and 1 has Rest, so I'm not too worried about it. Without a defensive switch into
I forgot
Metagross,
about
John
that.
decides to stay in.
He stays in. If I kill this thing here, a ton of damage! Oh, Technician. Okay, Roserade was a threat, so I'm glad that's gone.
With Roserade out of the way, John is down to his final 3 Pokemon, with only 1 unrevealed. Miltank comes back in and heals up, and I take the bait, launching a Toxic as John uses the opportunity to get his Mega Lucario in. Knowing Lucario has the potential to sweep me, I decide to stay in and go for an Earthquake to ensure I don't lose to a Swords Dance or a Nasty Plot.
This is the last threat. Or Sphere's fine. Okay, that's... Unless I get Parrot here. Yeah. Big damage.
With this damage, I've ensured I won't lose to the Lucario anymore because my Metagross can always finish it off, but I've given myself new problems. Miltank I can probably deal with, but the Plusle might have Nasty Plot and could potentially sweep me if it gets set up. I mull over whether or not I need Steelix
Random
anymore
battles
to
is
beat
so
Plusle.
wild,
I can go
man.
Spiritomb here. The thing is that Steelix or Plusle, yeah, just sack.
If I had known his team, things would have gone a lot differently. If things were different, things would be different, right? But I remember my strategy really being, you know, like whittle his team down and maybe I can sweep with Plusle or more likely Mega Lucario. I just didn't realize when I came up with a strategy of, okay, try to get Toxic Spikes if the opportunity presents itself, make it easier to sweep with something like Lucario. Nothing on his team is affected by Toxic Spikes, so it really didn't help, and trying to break through the Steelix Lugia core was so difficult.
I go into Metagross intending to finish off Lucario,
I didn't follow it.
but John decides to switch his Plusle into my Ice Punch. With Plusle gone, I know now that Metagross and Spiritomb can win the game together, since Miltank can't damage my Spiritomb,
And I didn't know
Metagross can
Spiritomb
finish
was
off the
there.
Lucario. I switch Spiritomb into Miltank, get some Calm Minds up, and knock out John's last 2 Pokemon, starting the set off with a win. John got to choose the format for Game 2, and selects Gen 5.
Gen 5.
Once again, the lead matchup was cause for concern. John leads off with Kingdra, and looking at my team, I knew it would be trouble.
I had 2 Pokemon weak to water in Gliscor and Emboar. Hitmontop, Furret, Registeel, and Floatzel. In other words, my only water resistance was Floatzel, who probably couldn't do much damage in return. And John's Kingdra could be either Dragon Dance or Rain Dance.
None of my Pokemon could do much to Kingdra after either of its setup moves, and I had almost no moves
He
on
leads
my
with
team that
Toxic
could KO
again
it
on
in
the
2
Steel
hits.
Pokemon
John
lead.
switches his Kingdra into Mesprit as I landed Toxic.
Darn you, Wolfey. I forgot about that. I remember leaving this so frustrated. It's very difficult to set up and sweep someone of Wolfey's skill turn 1 or my skill turn 1. That's just not going to happen in singles, like almost ever. But you get a Toxic off right away, or you're able to lead with a Steel Pokemon that you can't one-shot in any situation, and it can just Toxic freely. It's a little bit harder to maneuver around, and you're definitely putting your opponent on the back foot. So while that Kingdra is scary long-term, an immediate Toxic, immediately not great.
But this has opened up a fresh bout of problems. Mesprit almost certainly has Psychic and Ice Beam, which hit half my team for super effective damage. Of the
But
remaining
can't
Pokemon,
touch
neither Furret nor
Registeel.
Floatzel can take Psychic well. Thankfully, I have Registeel, who surely is able to beat...
Oh, it's I think that applies its specs, actually.
Well, Registeel gets 3-hit KO'd by what is most likely a Choice Specs Mesprit. I switch Registeel into Hitmontop, as John switches Mesprit into Watchog.
Oh my god, he's gonna think I'm a god, but I'm really not. I need to get my Gliscor in at some point. Okay, yeah, that's Hypnosis for you. That's unlucky, though. Okay. It's not great, but I just basically need to figure out how I'm beating this Mesprit.
I gotten lucky to take out the Watchog, but the Watchog wasn't the primary issue.
No.
Mesprit once again returns to the battlefield, and I'm forced to try and figure out how to deal with it.
Alright, I'm gonna go here. I don't like it. Okay, fine. Can I rest?
Yeah.
I'm gonna Toxic first, because whatever switches in... Oh no. Ah, my team is so bad!
Cobalion is revealed, which is extraordinarily bad for me. Cobalion outspeeds nearly every Pokemon on my team, often carries Swords Dance, and has phenomenal physical defense. Oh yeah, by the way, every single Pokemon on my team is physical. I don't have a single special attack. After a brief internal crisis, I switch into Gliscor, hoping John goes for an attack.
When you get to post-narrate, you get to talk about things and have it be all in your favor. And Wolfey is the kindest person I've ever listened to doing this. I love this of like, okay, this Pokemon, oh my god, what a problem. This Pokemon, oh my god, what a problem. Registeel Gliscor is one of the better combinations you could possibly have. And a Steelix Lugia core is another really scary one. While there were threats that could really deal with what he did, and he had to play around those well, getting those 2 cores randomly is very difficult to figure out how to beat on your feet, especially when you're like, it's Cobalion time, baby!
Instead of setting up. John goes for close combat, and reveals his Cobalion has the Life Orb item, which makes my job of KOing it easier. Because he went for close combat, I'm a bit worried he might have Hidden Power Ice instead of Swords Dance, so I switched Gliscor into Floatzel.
No.
Yeah, okay, Mesprit comes in, that's what we thought would happen. I should be faster than this thing because it's most likely Specs. Life Orb Crunch, I think, will kill.
John stays in with his Mesprit, and I'm somehow able to finish it off, making the score 6 Pokemon left to 4. John reveals Gorbis, yet another Pokemon capable of sweeping my team. It has Shell Smash, which is arguably one of the best setup moves in the game, and my team is seriously lacking when it comes to water resistances. Miraculously, however, my Floatzel has Taunt.
Like here, if I make the wrong move, I think I'm just gonna lose, so I'm just gonna okay, look at my team. If I make the wrong move this one turn, John will sweep my entire team.
Just like Cobalion, Gorbis also has exceptional physical bulk.
Yeah, I forgot about
I did
that.
nothing!
Yeah.
I know that going for another Crunch is risky because of Cobalion's justified ability, so I decide to attack with Waterfall instead.
Alright, that's the world champ.
That's the world
At
champ
this point,
difference
I feel
right
like Floatzel
there.
has done its job, so I decide to go for Waterfall to try and put Cobalion in range of Hitmontop.
Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't switch. Like, again, right? If
Yeah.
I make the wrong move here, John sweeps my whole team.
I tried to scratch and claw my way back here, and just every time something got me. That taunt, didn't expect that. Hoping I could force him to switch with a Swords Dance, as I could hopefully finally break through, his walls, but no, and no dice.
Probably, right? Like, if I switch here,
dice.
maybe not the whole team, but he'll probably take at least 2 or 3 kills. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm making the right moves, but he's doing every single thing he needs to do in order to give himself a chance to win this. I also had the perfect Floatzel moveset. I got Taunt and Waterfall and Crunch.
John goes back into Gorbis and I taunt as he finishes off my Floatzel. Even though I have a huge lead at this point, I've just lost my only water resistance. If either of John's water types gets set up, I may lose the entire game. I go into Hitmontop to try and finish off the
I don't remember
Gorbis,
if Kingdra
but
was set
John
up.
has other plans.
Because I think I don't think I'll get one shot, and close combat into close combat should kill. Oh, that's not good. Hello.
John's final Pokemon, Dragonair, is revealed. Dragonair is yet another setup sweeper thanks to Dragon Dance, and the problems don't end there. It has a water type move in Waterfall, it's extremely physically bulky, and worst of all, it has recovery thanks to Rest. I realize that now is the time to go into my secret weapon, Furret. Now, John knows the power of Furret, and terrified he'll take too much damage from it, he goes for Rest. My Furret, however, has other plans.
Just absurd. He had everything. He had everything to stop my sweepers. I bring in the Shell Smasher. He has Taunt. I bring in the Eviolite setup. He's got Trick.
Furret has neutralized Dragonair. Thanks to the Choice Scarf, it can no longer set up or rest while still doing damage. One threat taken care of, 2 to go. Now, Dragonair has locked itself into Rest, meaning sooner or later it has to switch out. John opts for sooner and switches his Gorbis into my Furret Double Edge.
Nice job, Furret. You're so good. Let's go, Furret. Gorbis is dead now. It's just about the Kingdra. Can I beat the Kingdra now?
One major threat remaining, Kingdra. John brings it in and decides it's time to go for game. He gets a Dragon Dance up and finishes off my Furret, but not before Furret takes half of its health. John's Kingdra reveals the Life Orb item, and with the chip from Furret, I know now that the game is within my grasp. Hitmontop's Mach Punch takes half of Kingdra's remaining HP, and another Waterfall leaves Kingdra with only 10% remaining. With only a Choice Scarf Dragonair left, John has almost no hope of finishing off my remaining Pokemon, and I take the set 2 wins to 0.
Okay, whew.
My next opponent was Gunner Maniac, a speedrunner who had managed to defeat Northern Lion 2 wins to 0 in the first round.
My biggest fear in this tournament came true. I went against one of the two people better than me, and I got promptly swept, knocked out of there with ease. And for my side of things, I was knocked into the loser's bracket, and my Cinderella run had truly begun. I was knocking people out left and right. The full stream is on PM7 VODs. It's on the VOD channel. Maybe someday I'll turn it into a video. Who knows if there's enough people that really want to see
They
it.
chose for our first game to be played in Generation 3, and as we loaded into the battle, I saw I once again had a difficult lead matchup. My team consisted of Beautifly,
Oh my
Hitmontop,
God.
Quillfish, Huntail, Miltank, and Raikou. A solid team overall. The issue, though, was in how few Pokemon I had that could damage the incredibly defensive Registeel that Gunner let off with. The game started off slow, with my Beautifly paralyzing his Registeel and then
Registeel.
switching into Miltank, each of us chipping away at the other. Predicting my
man.
Field Belt, Gunner switches Hitmonlee in. Realizing how few answers I have, I immediately switch in my Hitmontop to try and cut it off before it becomes too dangerous.
Can I bulk up once?
Ooh, is this Focus Punch?
I'm going 8th.
We're playing a
Bulk
very
up.
dangerous game of chicken, with both Hitmons rushing to make themselves as bulked up as possible.
Wow.
Gunner ends our little game first, attacking after 3
Oh,
bulk
high
ups
jump
as I go for a
kick.
4th. I break the sub as Gunner hits me with Earthquake, leaving me just out of
Okay.
range of a high jump kick.
Now I eat my
Man.
soft berries. Now I'm fast, which is great. If we trade 1 for 1 here, okay, that's a good trade.
Wow.
If Hitmontop sweeps the team, if that's all it did, it's still good for me.
Gunner goes into his Ditto, which doesn't seem
Oh,
like cause for
oh, but-
concern, as my Hitmontop should be
It
able to
doesn't
just
have,
KO it. What I
the
fail to
ability
realize,
yet.
however, is that the Ditto is level 99, and I go for Earthquake because I'm scared of missing high jump kick.
If I don't kill with Earthquake here, it's a 3 times attack. It should kill. Ditto doesn't have good stats.
Wolfey.
Level 99. Oh.
Whoops.
He never makes mistakes like that. That's a me mistake. That's not a Wolfey mistake. Can he get out of this situation?
Very scary Hitmontop. I get super
Oh.
lucky and win a speed tie, allowing me to
Okay.
put their Hitmontop into a range where I can
That'll
finish it
help.
off with Beautifly.
Okay, I wouldn't have
Oh, and
done it.
Beautify resist solid.
Registeel
That's
comes
so
back in,
perfect.
letting me get my
Wow.
Quillfish in for free to set
Okay.
up 3 layers of spikes.
I'm going for spikes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
It's my
GG.
time. It's fine. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna kill
That's GG.
this thing. I got all my spikes up, which is
3 layers of
Quillfish is
spikes
doing
in
no
random
damage,
battles
so I
is
go back
so
into Miltank to
difficult.
do my single battler impression. Fortress comes in, meaning my hard-earned spikes are no more. But Quillfish
wow.
spooks out the fortress and
Huh.
finishes off the Registeel.
Oh,
Regirock
that's
comes
huge.
in to avenge its brother, but unfortunately meets the same fate.
Wow.
Fortress finishes off my Quillfish, but the damage has been done.
Yeah.
Raikou takes out the Fortress, and Gunner's last Pokemon, Meganium, can't beat the combination of Miltank and Beautifly.
No.
Gunner forfeits, and we win the first game of the set.
Because as soon as
Alright.
Beautifly, I don't think they're going to be able to beat Beautifly.
That Ditto situation was a little scary,
Gunner picks
but
Gen 3 for Game 2. Seviper,
pretty
Zapdos,
decisive win.
Scyther, Solrock, Pikachu, and Vaporeon. A totally solid team.
HP
Yeah.
Rock Scyther is kind of lit. Okay.
My lead matchup is once again not amazing, but I have a free switch into Solrock as Charizard Belly Drums. Solrock is the perfect Pokemon to have here, thanks to its typing and ability, and it only takes half damage from the Hidden Power Flying and picks up a KO in return.
Woo! Solrock, you're so clutch. Super clutch, Solrock.
Gunner goes into Victory Bell to threaten my Solrock.
that is so lucky
right?
to
It
have that
makes
Soul
those
Rock.
flavor
Oh my
here.
god.
HP Fire. So Viper's actually pretty bulky. This actually may kill because of that. Yep.
Belly
Two more
Drum
than half health
Charizard
is-
sweep would have been wild.
I'm worried about it setting up with Curse, so I stay in and launch an Earthquake, doing over half.
Oh,
Gunner switches
that
into
did
Seeking to
nothing!
take another Earthquake, but Seviper isn't threatened by anything just yet.
I don't think it'd be that
Gunner
devastating
is
for the Rain
unraveling. Just this is.
Dance. Oh, but if there are Rain Dances, I'm in trouble, y'all.
It turns out I actually wasn't in trouble, as
Not at all.
Vaporeon is one of the best answers to
not
low
even
HP
a little bit, buddy.
Solidifying my lead with 6 Pokemon to 3, Celebi switches in, and predicts Vaporeon to switch out, catching my incoming Scyther with a Psychic.
Oh,
Scyther finishes off
Ooh.
Celebi, leaving just Muck and Mystery final Pokemon. Solrock sets Reflect against Muck as it rests, but I have a trick up my sleeve.
Boom, 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 boom.
Until Generation 5, Self-Destruct and Explosion halved the opponent's physical defense, making them ridiculously overpowered. Gunner's final Pokemon is a Fortress, which is no match for my Pikachu, giving me a clean win and letting me advance to winners semifinal.
When you play a battler like Wolfey, it's one of the more soul-crushing things, because it's not that he's trying to 6-0 you to make you feel bad about yourself. You still will feel bad about yourself, but he's trying to preserve as many possible win conditions. Like, just make sure nothing could possibly go wrong. Because in Pokemon, you never know. It's not over until it's over, right? And obviously, that's the same for most things. But with Pokemon, there's a lot of tricks up people's sleeves, especially with random battles. You don't know what they're going to have.
My next opponent was Moxie 2D,
Ah,
a friend
Moxie.
and teammate from Alpharad's Unite tournament just the week before. As usual, I banned Gens 1 and 2, and Moxie, who had experience in Gen 5, chose it for Game 1. For the first time all tournament, I'm happy with my lead matchup, with my Rotom staring down his Lapras. I decided
Might be
to make
his
an aggressive
worst
play.
team, best
Could've gone
lead.
worse.
Pachirisu is a problem, and my options to deal with it are limited. I decide to go into Hariyama to try and exert offensive pressure thanks to Guts, as I'm confident that Moxie is going for a status move here. Moxie reveals Latios, which isn't good for Hariyama, but is good for my secret weapon, Zoroark.
Could be CM is the thing. You'll never touch me, Spider-Man!
Zoroark disguises itself as Stantler, and thanks to the choice specs, is able to one-shot the Latios with Dark Pulse, giving me an early lead.
Big damage with a critical hit from Stantler!
Who gave this man this team? Moxie, I'm so sorry. This poor guy. He sends out his Pachirisu like, okay, time to go for a status move. Guts Hariyama. It's like, all right, let me bring in my Latios. Zoroark. Like, oh my god. So brutal.
One-hit KO!
Lapras re-enters the battle, and I realize I don't have a single water resistance. As long as Pachirisu is around, my Rotom is going to have a hard time. So I decide to go into it now, as it's probably the most expendable Pokemon I have.
Okay, that was the right play.
That's
Ursaring finishes off my Rotom thanks to
Demosh.
Quick Feet making it fast. But even with the boost to its speed, it's still
Zoroark,
slower
yep.
than my Zoroark, and I finish it off
Bye-bye.
without trouble. Lapras
Yep.
once again threatens my Zoroark out. But this time, I decide to go into my Koffagrigus to try and weaken Lapras. Koffagrigus
talk?
goes down.
It died.
I go into
Wow.
Hariyama, and Moxie,
Oh,
without a safe
yep,
switch into
easy.
close combat,
Yeah.
decides to take his chances with the paralysis and doesn't
Yep.
get it. Pachirisu comes in, but fails to finish off my Hariyama, letting me KO the Pachirisu.
Super Fang, die. Huge.
Yep.
Moxie
There's
then
no
reveals
coming
Deoxys'
back at this
attack,
point.
one of the single strongest Pokemon in the game. Deoxys with Superpower and Ice Beam can probably KO every one of my remaining Pokemon. Thankfully, I have the legendary Pokemon Stantler still remaining.
Yeah, Stantler!
Caracosta is another Shell Smash user and is capable of sweeping entire teams. Thankfully, it isn't faster than my Zoroark, even after a Shell Smash,
Wow.
and between Stantler and Zoroark, I'm able to finish it off and win the first game.
Whew!
That was a fun one. It was a slugfest,
Moxie
back
picks
and
Gen
forth.
5 again for game 2.
I wrote Moxie off. It did not seem like that team had a chance, but there's a little fight in the end of that. Let's see if Moxie can take a battle off of Wolfey.
The lead matchup is a bit awkward, with my Butterfree staring down his Luxray. And to make matters worse, I have basically no offense on my team. Butterfree, Claydol, Hitmonchan, Grumpig, Electivire,
Crunch
and
is bad
Golem
for
are a
Claydol,
collection
of
of
course.
decent mons, but there aren't really any standout threats.
Golem
the first turns
destroys
go
here.
pretty well, with my
Yeah.
Golem getting a free switch into Luxray
Easy.
and setting up Stealth Rocks.
Yep.
Oh, he's got Whimsicott.
Moxie goes into Whimsicott, giving my Butterfree another chance to come back in. Butterfree does a good chunk of damage to the incoming Luxray. I'm
that's
torn on what to do
big.
here, but I think the Luxray is probably going to Ice Fang, so I go for Quiver Dance with my Butterfree.
This is really risky. Yep. Oh.
Oh, wow.
The freeze is a big problem, but it isn't the end of the world. I'm pretty sure, based on the damage Ice Fang did, that the Luxray is choice banned, and because I have Thick Fat Grumpig, I should be able to...
It's not choiced!
Whoopsie. Luxray most likely had the Expert Belt item, and I overestimated how bulky Butterfree was, leading to this blunder.
Okay, well, BG,
Wow.
it's an 8th, etc., etc. Wait, Fairy type isn't in this game?
For the first time all tournament, I really feel like I'm losing. With Butterfree at low HP and Frozen, I'm basically down 4 mons to 6. To make matters worse, I'm forced to
How
go
does
with
he
my
get out of
Hitmonchan,
this?
meaning I only have 2 Pokemon still hidden. Moxie doesn't want me to KO his Luxray and switches into Whimsicott, which takes over half its health from a Drain Punch. Whimsicott U-turns into Arcanine, a very problematic Pokemon for me given it has Will-O-Wisp, and all my remaining Pokemon are physical.
But that's the thing with singles. You don't really see Stealth Rocks in VGC, and you shouldn't, but it's the best move in the game. If the only thing Moxie has to switch in on Hitmonchan is a Pokemon that's going to lose 25% of its health on switching, and you have a Claydol and a Golem that you can use against that Arcanine, you play your cards right, and I mean, that Hitmonchan is going to dent his team. Horrible start for Wolfey, but he's absolutely
I sack
climbing out of this
Butterfree
hole
and go
quickly.
into Electivire, hoping to block a Will-O-Wisp with Substitute. Moxie reveals Thunderous Therian, and Electivire takes it out with 2 Ice Punches.
Oh, that
Whimsicott
was
comes in next,
huge!
but
But another Pokemon weak to Stealth Rocks.
Giga Drain isn't enough to keep it out of Ice Punch range, and Electivire picks up a second KO.
Yep.
The Pokemon count is even now, but the momentum is in Moxie's favor. Moxie goes into Furret.
No, they've got Furret! Curse you, Furret!
We know from experience that Furret is broken, but we also know it's likely Choice Scarf. Golem switches into the Double Edge, and picks up a KO on the Luxray sack. It's looking like it might still be winnable when Moxie reveals his final Pokemon, Roserade. Roserade hits my 2 ground types for super effective, is faster than most of my Pokemon, but at least my Hitmonchan might be able to...
Okay, good trade.
It was not a good trade, it was a GameStop trade. Left with no other option, I go into Electivire, as Roserade sets up spikes.
Okay, that went badly.
Spikes was not
Big
the
damage?
play.
Survive.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, nice move by me.
Furret
That
comes
Spikes
back
was
in.
a big
I know
blunder,
Furret can have
unfortunately,
Aquatail,
for
but I
Moxie.
think my Electivire might
Very,
take one.
very, very good for the Wolf.
Y'all ever heard about something called the champion of the world that is also different?
Claydol finishes off Furret, forcing Moxie into his last Pokemon. I land a Toxic as Moxie heals up, winning me the game and putting me into
GG.
Winners Finals.
That was a really
Wow.
close one. I really well played.
wow. GG's, man.
I love the way he talks about these battles. The problem with me taking out one of his big Pokemon is he has the momentum. He brings in Furret. I remember it fondly. You always gotta commentate, make the opponent seem like they were doing better than they were, and you were in a worse spot than you were. And when you wriggle out of that situation, you look like a genius.
Jeez, dude, you played super
World champ
well.
difference.
My opponent is Joey, the favorite to win the whole tournament. I need to pull out all the stops here, so I decide for us to start in my strongest format, Generation 6. The leads are revealed, and I realize immediately
I'm excited
I've
for
lost.
this.
Skarmory, Mega Alakazam, Blossom, Dugtrio, Zygarde, and Wormadam are a strong team, but there's a major issue.
I lose. I'm going 8th.
Joey has led off with Dragonite, and aside from Skarmory, every Pokemon on my team gets KO'd by either Fire Punch or Outrage after a Dragon Dance. Now,
Yeah.
normally, Skarmory could just Whirlwind Dragonite out
Yep.
to remove the Dragon Dance, but mine doesn't have Whirlwind. I go into my Alakazam to try and Encore Dragonite's Dragon Dance.
Random Battles is one of my favorite formats because it's just so fun. You never know what to expect, and truly, almost any player can win a battle because you don't know what they have, and they might just have the perfect team, or they may have saved the perfect Pokemon for your team without even knowing it. It's fun. It's great. It's infuriating. It's awful. It's It's everything.
Dance and immediately lose it. Not a great start. I go into my Zygarde and hard read a switch out.
But multi-scale
taking Joey's
is
Spiritomb
broken on the
immediately and
Dragonite.
evening the score. Joey reveals Giratina, which is another candidate to sweep me after a calm mind.
Oh, I can't do anything against this. My team is so bad.
I try to use Wormadam to poison the Giratina, but Joey goes into his Guts Raticate. I protect to get extra poison damage, and Joey Swords Dances and finishes me off with a Flame Wheel.
That's so bad. Oh, that was my only answer to the Giratina. What am I doing?
My Dugtrio has Focus Sash, allowing me to finish off the Raticate.
Oh,
Joey
wow.
goes into
That's
Mienshao,
big.
but I predict the Fake Out and get Skarmory in.
That is really
sets
big,
up
at
Stealth
least.
Rocks as Giratina comes in, but this time my Wormadam is gone. I go Blossom, hoping to get a Sleep Powder on the Giratina to slow it down. I do get the Sleep off, and we shuffle around positions, ending up with Skarmory against Dragonite.
Ooh.
I have a feeling Dragonite is Choice Band, so I set Spikes up as Joey goes for another Extreme Speed.
I'm gonna Brave Bird one time here because I think there's a chance he switches out.
That's both the beauty of random battles and the beauty of that post-game narration. You start that battle, I've lost turn 1, Dragon Dance sweep, bang, bang, boom, I lost. Halfway through the battle, you forgot about the fact Wolfey was gonna lose automatically. It's not Dragon Dance Dragonite. I love it, Wolfey. What a veteran move. This guy, what a genius.
That's good.
Mienshao is down, meaning Joey's only remaining Pokemon are Dragons and whatever the last Pokemon is. Dragonite once again enters the field, and I sack my Blossom and decide to go for game. I KO the Dragonite and Raikou is revealed, and it almost certainly has the 4 times effective move, Hidden Power Ice. I wait with bated breath.
I'm gonna have to stand. Is that great?
Wow.
Please kill. Okay.
Big.
No confusion. Okay. I should be faster. I'm faster.
Yep.
This should kill him. Choice Band.
Yep.
Yay,
GG.
World Champ difference. Woo! Okay.
It was really close, but that one layer of spikes I got up ensured the Raikou was in range of my Outrage, winning me the game. For game 2, Joey picked Generation 7.
Okay. He wants to play Gen 7. I hate
Okay.
Gen 7!
Zygarde,
Me too.
Zangoose, Farfetch'd, Delphox, Shiinotic, and Mega Sharpedo was my team.
Gen 7 was when I really fell off from competitive, and I fell out of love with it. I don't know, whether it was burnout with competitive, I really didn't like Z moves. There's something about this generation where it was the beginning of the end.
Some high highs and some low lows. Joey leads off with Regirock, giving me the advantage at the lead. Joey's forced into Florges, which my team has very limited answers for.
Wow.
I go into Shiinotic.
No! I'm playing really badly. Okay. It's fine.
I at least am able to get a sleep onto the Florges. I gamble and go into my Sharpedo, and very luckily get a 3-turn sleep, allowing me to do huge damage to the Florges.
Wow.
Joey opts to save his Florges and tries to switch his Wishy-Washy into Waterfall, but I go for Crunch and pick up a 2-hit KO instead.
Bold, and it worked out.
Joey goes into Cinccino, and I use Waterfall thinking I can survive an attack. What I'd failed to notice was that the Cinccino was 6 levels higher than my Sharpedo, and Tail Slap picks up a 1-hit KO, evening the count at 5 Pokemon left on each side.
My favorite thing about Wolfey as a battler is even when he makes a mistake or even when the cards are against him, he never loses his focus. I can get rattled. I can get down on myself. I used to have battles. I'd do draft league battles, and like I'd be in the other room of my fiance and just like, oh my God, I lost this game. Like da 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 da. And then I'd leave the room and be like, oh yeah, I won 4-0. Like I can definitely get down. It doesn't take away all of like how focused I am in the game, but like you can rattle me or I can get down on myself. Wolfey is even keeled, so even when he makes a mistake like he just did, it doesn't change anything, and honestly it might even snap him back a little bit more to know exactly what he needs to do to grab that momentum back. He's the world champ for a reason. He's incredible.
We jostle for positioning, with neither side getting a definitive move, but I think I have a big advantage suddenly. I find my Zygarde staring down his low HP Florges. Spotting an opportunity to take a KO, I go for 1,000 Arrows, but Joey reveals Latios. If the Latios is Mega and uses Calm Mind, it might sweep through my entire team at this point. Left with no other option, I use Dragon Dance with Zygarde. Unfortunately, Joey just Draco Meteors, and I lose my most important Pokemon. Feeling desperate, I go into Zangoose and set up a Swords Dance, as Joey Dracos again, revealing he is most likely Choice Specs. Zangoose picks up the KO, and Joey reveals his final Pokemon, Mewtwo. Zangoose nearly KOs the Mewtwo thanks to a critical hit, but the battle is nearly sealed. I have almost no ways through the Regirock now. Delphox picks up the KO, but Regirock re-enters the battle.
Yeah, I need to save this thing, but now my Shiinotic just can take a bit of damage. Stone Edge misses, okay. Strength stuff here. He got me.
Florges comes in, and I intend to pick it off before it can wish back up.
That Stone Edge miss, that if that had killed, is that Does that change everything?
but it reveals Synthesis. Joey switches his Cinccino in, and it barely survives Farfetch'd return. The game is more or less over at this point. Joey has 2 walls I can't break and a choice band Cinccino.
But if my Shinoda goes down here, then I don't see how I beat the Regirock. So I have to stay in here and just go for knockoff. And pray for the world champ difference. I think that's literally my best option.
Farfetch lands a critical hit with Brave Bird, but Florges hangs on and
What? Stone Edge miss? The Rock Blast miss? The crit?
Farfetch just goes down.
It might be Chesto Resto. Big crits, burn.
Oh my,
Big burns.
oh my
If it's Chesto Resto, it
god!
has to go now, I think.
I switch into Shinoda as Regirock rests up, returning to full HP and healing the burn. Shinoda takes a ton of damage, and I'm left with no
The Stone Edge would have
other
killed!
option except to Moonblast down the Regirock and pray it stays asleep. 1 turn. 2 turns. 3 turns of sleep on the Regirock.
Oh my god!
I'm so lucky.
Thanks to how sleepy
Oh, come on,
Regirock
it's a
was,
horrible
Delphox was able to
game.
come in and clean up the battle,
It's
putting me
such
in
a
grand
bad
finals without losing.
game! This is why I don't like competitive Pokemon anymore! Oh my god! That's how he got into winners finals without dropping a battle? Oh my
Losing a
god!
single game. I sent Joey down to the loser's bracket to play against none other than John. John had turned into a loser's bracket assassin, beating everyone he was matched up against until making it all the way to loser's finals. After a very long set, Joey takes it 2-1 and moves on to face me in the finals.
There's no reason for the set of Joey versus me to be here, but it was a really, really incredible back and forth. I put on a show. I tried my darndest. And if I had been able to beat Joey in a random battle tournament and knocking him out of the tournament, that would have been one of the cooler things I've ever done competitively. From my knowledge and Wolfey's knowledge, I didn't do anything special. I came in 3rd place in a tournament I should have come in 3rd place. But the really cool and kind of weird thing, kind of an interesting send-off for my competitive Pokemon career, this is the most credit and support I've ever gotten for competitive Pokemon. People were so kind, so supportive, so just like impressed with what I'd been able to do in that tournament.
Now, I'd love to tell you that Joey and I had an incredible set going back and forth in a nail-biter that wasn't determined until the very end. But unfortunately, I can't do that. You see, the tournament started at 2 Eastern and was set to end at 7. Joey and I didn't start playing until close to 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It was my roommate's birthday and I was supposed to make dinner, but because of the tournament, I was running super late. So when it came time to actually play, I relied on my set lead and played the Pokemon equivalent of speed chess. It's very difficult to watch the set, not only because of the high speed, but also because I was skipping animations to save time. Of course, we could have still made it work for this video, but I don't want to waste your time with content that isn't up to my standards. I lost the first set 2-1 and the second set 2-0, and Joey deservedly took home the tournament.
Yeah.
Now, I don't regret playing in the way I did because I was already super late, but I do wish I could have given Joey a better showing. Overall, I found the tournament enjoyable, though it did affirm to me that single battles are really just not my thing personally. I hope that if another tournament like this pops up in the future, I'll be able to get some redemption and play closer to my ability. Thank you to Jan for hosting, to my opponents for the games, and of course to you, the viewer, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments, as it's a different style than I normally do.
Incredible video, incredible tournament. It was really, really cool to be able to do something like this. You know, with one of my best friends in the world. Love Wolfey to death. Wish we didn't have to battle round 1, but hey, it was fun reminiscing with this, and maybe I'll have to dust off the old battling gloves at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but this was a fun stroll down memory lane.